traveling through this wearisome land. I've got a home in that yonder city, good Lord, and it's not made by hand. I've got a mother, a sister, and brother who have been this way before. I am determined to go and see them, good Lord, over on that other shore. I'm going down to that river of Jordan just to bathe my wearisome soul. If I could just touch the hem of his garment, good Lord, then I know he'll take me home. I'm going down to that river of Jordan just to bathe my wearisome soul. Then I know he'll take me home. And I just looked at my mic all that time talking, and my mic was not on. So I apologize for that. Boy, off to a good start. I've done that a couple of times. Well, apologize for the mess, like I said, behind me. I switched my whole setup to the finished side of the this building, the pod shed, I like to call it. And now I got to finish the side behind me, put up a wall, put down some flooring on that side. It's tough to work around things, but we're going to hang out here for a little bit until we see folks. Good evening. Yeah, no sound. Yeah, I just noticed that. Hey, Brother Jorge. I just noticed that. I don't know how I didn't pick up on that. But yeah, so you can see it's a mess behind me here. I decided to flip this whole thing around, and now I'm working on things and trying to make it look a little bit better. Change it around, get the walls up and the insulation and so forth. Rough start. I forgot to post this live stream in the beginning of the week or in the middle of the week. I thought I did, but I did not. I thought I posted for tonight, but I didn't. So it is what it is. But here I am. So I would ask you how the weather is up there, Brother Jorge, but it's a little snowy. That's okay. It's a little rainy down here. So, what are you going to do? I was hoping to get the more truckloads done and get some more trees, but it started just pouring rain. It was fine. I was got the topsoil, a truck full of topsoil, and as soon as I left there, because perfect timing, just started pouring. It just started pouring. I was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" So But hopefully I'll get back to it tomorrow because tomorrow's supposed to be sunny. Although we're going to take the kids up to a small event up in Fort Loudon. They're doing one of them battle reenactment type things, and those are all pretty interesting sometimes. So we're going to go check that out this weekend. But so it's snowing up there, brother Horace. See, this is why I don't live in New England anymore. And I get it. Some people love it up in that area, but like I said before, for us, I wanted to be down here so we could plant year round, so we could have crops for a longer period of time. And up north, that's not as doable. You know, we did okay with the garden up there we had before. I think what we had up in our yard up there was I think it was like 20 feet long or something like that. It wasn't well, I guess with some people standards pretty big, but it wasn't gigantic. But this year down here, we're hoping to get a little more. So got the chickens, of course. And then you can see it's a little more light in here, brother Jorge. It's the electricity got pumped into here, so now oh, there's Provgal. Good evening, Provgal, and Jorge Lima. So there we go. Everybody's on screen. We got the light pumped in here. We got the light pumped into the canning shed, so that means we got electricity in there. So we'll now be able to put a freezer out there. So when we buy meat from one of the local growers, organic growers, obviously grass fed, we'll be able to get a little bit more into the freezers. Just like when we get the meat chickens, when we start doing our own meat chickens and slaughtering them, we'll put those into the freezer as well. But that's a little time off. But I think I'm hearing a train off in the distance. But anywho, but I saw the snow up there, and I think you're getting. I think you mentioned 1 to 3 more inches. I'll tell you what. I'm glad I don't live in New England anymore for that reason, for the snow. I mean, there's some other beautiful areas in New England. Cape Cod's pretty cool. You know, it's nice up there, and some of Maine is nice, and New Hampshire. But I like being down here, even though we got the rain. It's been raining a lot of recent, and as they always say, "Oh, we needed the rain," and then when it rains, they say, "Oh, we got too much rain." You can never win on that one. So we'll see what happens there. So, how are you and your kids this week, Jorge? I'm hoping your children are doing all right this week. I'm pretty sure they are. So, hope that's going well. You get them each week. If that's still on. So, but anywho, still working on that other podcast. I'll get up. I'll have that up. Shooting on that one for June. That's the target date for that one. We'll see how that works out. Different aspect of things. I think I've mentioned this before. I personally, other people can feel however they want. I personally feel having the biblical things and matters, I think they should be separate from other things that you can talk about in the world. I'm going to mute this for a second because I think I'm going to sneeze. So hold on. Well, I apologize for that. All of a sudden, I think it's because of dust I kicked up, sweeping up some of the floor and putting down some of the floor. Girls are doing great. Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. They're getting older and bigger every day, aren't they? But well, I was going to yawn now too. Been a busy week. Interesting. So I forget the point I was trying to make. I got off course here. My brain's all over the place. Although it's weird with the new light in here. I'll tell you that because I'm used to the other light, which didn't give off as much, but it was a softer light. This is the proper lighting, but it almost feels like hospital lighting compared to the other light that was in here. So, what are you gonna do? You know. But yeah, we're getting the rain down here. A lot of flooding areas, and I'm noticing the tornado alley, as they call it, is starting to shift a little. On the screen, it looks like I'm going the opposite direction. It's starting to shift east. Some are saying that's going to be the new tornado alley, a little more towards Arkansas and West Tennessee. which thankfully I'm not out in West Tennessee. Sorry for those who are out there. We're out of East Tennessee. But if you talk to East Tennesseans, it's like West Tennessee is a whole other state. Uh, they seem to think past Nashville, there's no more Tennessee, which was interesting because in Massachusetts, and that's a much smaller state, much smaller, the east side of Massachusetts never went out to the west side of Massachusetts, which was very interesting to me. I had never known that because I lived on both the east side of Massachusetts and the west side of Massachusetts. So I didn't know it was a thing. So, I mean, it's only like an hour, maybe two. I think it from side to side in Massachusetts, like a 2 hour drive, something like that. I don't know. I don't even know if it's that long because where I lived in Massachusetts, out near Springfield area, it took me a little over an hour. You hop on the Pike and you just drive straight down to the Boston area. So yeah, it's not that bad. Well, like I said, hopefully I'll have this all this pod shed all complete this week. That's my goal. We have some outside stuff. Obviously, we have to go to that reenactment that's coming up this weekend, which would be fun and nice. And then after that, we'll head back home and we'll get some of the outside stuff done. I was hoping to get a few things done out here. Oh, you'll enjoy this, Jorge. So it comes to my attention that I built this, or I should say, not built this. I put this pod shed on top of a wild strawberry patch. Did not know that when we put it in there. So apparently, I had wild strawberries. I don't have wild strawberries anymore. And here's a fun other fact. I had no idea we had wild elderberry in our yard. We had elderberry. We got a whole bunch of elderberry out there, bushes and little. Now they're not trees anymore because my son, I thought I cut them, but my son said he cut the elderberry trees. And I'm like, no. But I didn't know it was elderberry trees. So we're so busy trying to get elderberry bushes to plant them. And the whole time we had them out there and I had never even noticed it because a year ago I had my son clear out a lot of that area and my other boys were clearing some areas on the other side. And turns out we cut down elderberry. We still got some more. It's growing pretty aggressively on the side. So we might be able to get some of that. They grow better in the sun, as my wife was telling me, but not in the shade as much. They still grow in the shade, but not as they won't be as plentiful as they are in the sun. So we'll probably dig a couple of those. Her idea. We'll dig up a couple of those and transport them across the yard to another area where we're going to do the bushes, all the berry bushes. But I couldn't believe I had no idea that we cut it down. I didn't even know. Whole time we had elderberry over there. I had no idea. None of us knew. And the wild strawberry underneath the pod shed. Didn't know we had it. Put the pod shed here, the shed, and bam. So now I'm not a big technology guy. Well, I guess I am. I got cell phone and stuff like that, computers. But we're going to download an app that has, like, you can take pictures of plants. So that was my plan today. I was going to hit the plants out here to get some pictures to figure out what we got all around the area because it turns out we have more biomass plants that we can use to help the growth of the trees. And I didn't even know we had them over there. So I got to pay attention to that. We have nettles out there and so forth. What's the app called? That's a good question. I think it's called Plant. Oh, no. Plant Aid. Oh, I don't remember what the name of it is. I don't recall what it is. I'd have to pull up my phone to look at it, but Provgal might know what it is. I'll have to ask Provgal over here if she knows what it is. I think it's called Plant something. Plant, and you take a picture of it. But there are other ones you can pay for, which I thought about doing, but Plant, oh, where are we? Plant Net. Okay. Plant Net. Yeah, that's the name of it. I didn't put it on my phone yet. I was going to do that today and go scan the plants and see what we got going on there. But we have nettles out there. We have sumac, not the poison stuff. Sumac. I didn't realize we had it over here in the area that I had the boys clear out. So thank you. Sounds like a good use of technology. Yeah, that's actually a good point. That's actually a good use of technology. You're absolutely right. So we'll check that out and go through there. But it was a bummer, I tell you, when I realized that we had the stuff there and I cut it down. I was like, man, we're trying to buy the stuff, and I was talking to the guy who's been helping us, a guy who's really done a phenomenal job, Brian, of really crash coursing us in fancier term, the whole syntropic agroforestry, but basically, what the old timers would say is living off the land. Um, so I've been crash coursing on some of that stuff, and we've been really immersed in that and figuring out what is going to be beneficial growing next to each other. So within the next year and a half, we'll have everything I think that we'll need planted. Plus, we already got some things, like I said, in the out here in the small little forest we have on the side. So who knew? I always tell people God gave you everything you need to live off the land, and we did. Not everything, but we had strawberries, we had elderberry, and we got the sumac over there, so we got that going on. I know we'll do eucalyptus and things like that. We'll end up putting bamboo over on the other side of the yard as a wind to stop the wind from blowing through as hard as it usually does, because we have a wide open cornfield on the other side of us. So, I mean, the wind comes whipping through there. So we'll get that taken care of as well. I tell you, God is great. I mean, I know it's a cliche, but He is. We feel incredibly and amazingly blessed to have what we have, and I'm the worst one to realize how good we have it, because I always point out the house. I didn't want the house we have. I think it's too fancy, but then other people probably don't think it's fancy. I wanted, or I think my wife and I also wanted something more of a, I guess, a fixer upper. I guess we wanted more of, but this is where God put us, and here we are. I almost feel guilty for having the house. And again, some people go, "What are you talking about? It's not that nice of a house." Well, to us, it's a pretty nice house. And I think I've never felt like I deserve it. I haven't earned it, in my opinion, and the Lord has blessed us with it. But and we have a couple of acres, like I said, and we'll keep working at it. We just put the wife has put down some of the cardboard and stuff like that out on the vining area. So the vining area is getting ready. So that'll be great, and we'll be able to grow over there. And with the excess, we'll be able to help other people wherever we can. If we run across people who don't have the same ability to have those things, we'll be able to do so. But a lot of people in Tennessee, though, I'll tell you, if it's one thing everybody has in common down here, a lot of people have chickens. They could have no backyard and a tiny front yard. Somehow they still have chickens. Chickens and goats are pretty popular here. I can tell you that. I'm sure they're popular other places, except for where I lived. Up north where I lived, I didn't see a lot of chickens and goats, except for one chicken that used to somehow go through our yard, called Pineapple. I think the boys named this chicken Pineapple. I have no idea why. Although I do love pineapples, but I don't know why they named it Pineapple, but that's the way it is. Kids are kids. They come up with those things. But we'll see how things go. I'm pretty excited about it, that the possibility and the opportunity to help those along the way. That'll be pretty awesome to be able to have excess. We've already given like eggs out to people. I've given eggs out to my a brother in Christ at work, the one that I consider a brother. There's other people there who consider themselves Christians. I'm not gonna go into that yet. I mean, I think there's some issues there, but one of them definitely I would consider a brother in Christ. I've given him eggs. He's because where they live, they don't have a lot of property to have a lot of chickens. Although they plan on trying to get a couple chickens, and I think he's going to try to plant a couple apple trees in the backyard, which is awesome. So we'll see what happens there. Pineapple was the neighborhood chicken. Yeah, I don't know who named the chicken. I thought the boys named the chicken. I don't know who named the chicken. Not a clue. No idea who named the chicken. I like pineapple. Don't get me wrong. I love pineapple. I think I'm going to sidetrack. Isn't there like an old argument about pineapple on pizza? Some people say it doesn't belong on pizza, and other people say Hawaiian pizzas, they should have pineapple on them. Although I've grown up, Josh named it. Josh named it. Okay, yeah. Why does that not surprise me? That does not surprise me at all. It doesn't surprise me. But and now I forgot where I was going. My short attention span tonight. 1,000 things in my brain. But that pineapple Hawaiian pizza. So Hawaiian pizza has pineapple and ham, but then other people say it's pineapple, ham, and chicken, and some will say it's pineapple and chicken. I'm a little off on this because I went to one place and they had chicken and pineapple on it. I remember ordering it years ago and picked it up, brought it home, and opened it up to eat it. And I'm looking at it going, what happened? Where's the ham on it? There's, we're going back a couple of decades here. And I'm like, where's the ham? So I call up that pizza joint and they said, it doesn't have ham. We put chicken on it. I'm like, huh? So that was my Hawaiian pineapple pizza story. That's all I got for that. So, but excited. Oh, you know what I got to share with you? This is awesome. So I was one of the guys I've been I witnessed to a couple times. He's definitely, I got it kind of wrapped up, and you'll find this pretty interesting. So he's a Jehovah's Witness. He's a JW, and so he's had questions about it, and he's not in agreement with everything involved with JW. I can't say what's this. I'll do some fasting before I eat pineapple pizza. All right, fair enough. But yeah, so this guy is a JW, and I've talked to him a couple of times, and laying down the groundwork on that one, and I guess he's got some questions about things that happen, that are happening in the JW system and stuff like that. He sees some interesting things, but he gave one of the other drivers something to give to me, and it is, I don't know if you can read this. There's a picture of Jesus. That's their picture of Jesus, obviously not mine. And it says, "You are invited, memorial of Jesus' death." I'm going to wait a moment and see if you can see anything wrong with that title. I'm going to give it a second. Let's see if you can figure out what the error is already on the front cover of this little brochure track thing he gave me. Well, he gave to the other driver to give to me. I almost want to go, and not for the reasons you think. I almost think I'll flip the boat over on that one and just go there. But it's tomorrow, so I ain't gonna go to that. Definitely won't have time to do that. But if you haven't come up with what's wrong with this title, I'm gonna tell. Hey, yes, sir. Brother Jorge, you win the prize. Yeah. The first thing I noticed when I read it, you were invited Memorial Jesus' death. And as soon as I read that, I'm like, Jesus' death? Jesus is not dead. So that if you question it all, if anybody ever questions, let me put that up. Yes, amen. If you question ever if they believe in a living God, if they believe Jesus is alive and not dead, well, we know that they think in their belief that Jesus is dead. JWs believe Jesus is dead. My Jesus is not dead. Well, I don't own him. Brother Jorge, I believe your Jesus is not dead yet. So the Jesus that we know as the living God, he's not dead. So I thought that was interesting, and I'll use that as an icebreaker. The next time I see him, I was almost going to look at it for a while and just kind of toss it aside. But I was like, you know what? No, next time I see him, I'm going to ask him to tell me and show me in the Bible, the King James Bible, where he's dead and where he's still dead. Not sure that he's going to be able to show me, so I can tell you that right now. But it'll be interesting. So I'm working on that guy. I don't know if I'll get anywhere, but you know, we can't save the world. We can just keep trying. We can just keep trying to spread the gospel to everybody and try to point to the truth. But some people are not going to receive it. That's just the way it is. Doesn't mean we should stop. It doesn't mean we should be discouraged. It just means we have to keep trying. That's it. That's all there is to it. My unprofessional drink of water during the live stream. I guess I'm not polished. I guess as some are. So, but yeah. Well, I thought that was interesting. So I'm looking forward to that when I do see him next. He gets a lot of tanks of oxygen to this guy. I don't understand that at all. But are you gonna be working on your garden after the storm? When do you get to plant up there, Jorge? I mean, it's April, so I guess May is good. I don't know. I can't remember when we started. I can't recall. Excuse me, when we started it. I feel like we're behind down here in Tennessee, but it's different up there. I'm absolutely amazed. Everywhere I go, people are growing already down here. We're not full blown yet, but we'll get there. It's just a matter of time. I'm looking forward to getting the meat chickens done. That way, now that we have electricity out in the canning shed now and in here, because before the way I was running the electricity here was a long extension cord, outside cord hooked to the building on the other side of the house, which was not conducive to anything. But I don't know. I'm just winging it. Peas are growing very quickly in their potting plants. So that's good. Winging it. Can't wait to have them chickens. Usually around May back up north. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah. All right. So he's got a little bit of time. He's still got a little time to get that everything planted up there. But are the girls having fun doing it? I wonder. Are they having a good time, like getting out there in the yard and you know, getting a rake through and stuff like that? And that'll be probably fun. What was I gonna say, Jorge? It was something, and I can't remember what it was. Oh well, I'll remember it eventually. I don't know when. Well, I started driving around again. I gotta try to make some tours, and I want to see all the churches that have the Easter egg hunt sign up. I'm interested in hitting that. I'm going to I was going to a week ago try to create something on my printer over here. Maybe a little what do you call them? Cardstock that makes little business cards or a brochure or something of the heresy of which they're in, and just hit every one of them with scriptures and just go to every single one of them churches, because some have actually mailboxes. I'm not going to nail it to the wall and call it my 99 thesis or anything like that, or like Martin Luther did, but I think we'll get that going. My wife actually ordered up those bags again, so I almost said baggies, and if someone's gonna take that wrong, go, "Oh, was that your past life?" So order bags so we can get the gospel tracts back in those and start getting them into the mailboxes in different houses. So, well, that'll be exciting to get that started back up. The boys enjoy doing that too, which is cool. They like going out and putting them out there, so that'll be fun. What do you think, Jorge? Should I crash the JW's party one of these days and just show up? And I won't record it though. I do have a little bit of it. I said this before. This whole show of recording everything we do out there. And it's like, look at me, look what I just did. I went into a JW building. Ain't I'm so brave. I stood outside the JW church or the Mormons church. We actually have one Latter-day Saints place over a town near me, Athens. That would be the biggest, I think, city around us. Um, that's my guess. They definitely like being outside. I'll get them to help a little bit, then they go play. Yeah, the weather has not been, working quite in your favor at the moment. Hopefully, it begins to work in your favor eventually. I don't know what the Farmer's Almanac says this year. I don't know what that's pointing out. So we'll see what happens on that. But yeah, I was going back to the other thing. I don't know. I just have I feel like these folks are on purpose trying to get themselves noticed. I don't know. It's just I'm not saying they're terrible people. It seems to be theatrics and showy and stuff like that. And I don't know. It's I can't see myself doing it. Um, when I went into that Catholic church a while back and put all those gospel tracks out when I was up north at that church up there, I didn't bring a GoPro with me or anything like that, and one of those things. I remember I was gonna confront the priest in there, but I didn't bring a camera. I was gonna have a camera rolling so I could put it on YouTube and get some clicks or anything like that. Because I think it that becomes a narcissistic thing, and it's more of a work at that point. It's more of a self-righteous thing you're doing instead of just doing the right thing. So I'll probably always have issues with that. I think there's no reason. I know a long time ago I used to see every now and then. What was this guy's name? Oh goodness, he was a street preacher, and I can't remember this guy's name. There was two of them that I would see a lot. Um, oh, I'm not going to remember. Oh, Gabe the Street Preacher. That was one of the popular ones you would see on YouTube. I haven't seen that guy in my algorithm in years, or probably a couple of years. I think the last time I ever seen him pop up in my algorithm was when I used to live up north. And the other one was uh, Justin something, I think. He was another one who just more about the show, in my opinion. That's I think it's a fine line. I think some people are not meaning to do it, but again, we see others do it that we think know more than we do, or we hold them in high regard, and we consider them to be brave because they're doing these things. And what bothers me is there are brave men out there who are doing things, but they're not doing them on Rumble or YouTube or anything like that. They're just going to do them. And the only one that matters, the only view that matters is not the one on YouTube, but the one who's viewing you all the time. He's who matters. What he sees matters, not what other people see. So you can get clickbait views and things of that nature. Well, not when it comes to that. I'm not saying you can't go to an abortion center and things like that. Nothing wrong with going there and trying to spread the truth. But I think a lot of these guys are doing it because they get the clicks, they get the views. And then you'll see, donate to my Patreon or my cup of coffee or my GoFundMe or my they would rather just make a living at using the Bible to confront. It's a tough one, and that's why for me the separate channel and podcast that will be coming out won't interfere with that. It's things that research I've done over the years, things that I like to talk about. When it comes to history and precious metals, gold and silver, planting and farming, things of that nature. Um, And yeah, I don't mind if if I do something money wise, I may or may not. I'm not 100% sure, but that's a different feel. Just like when I write the books, I've written three, I think. I think I wrote three. I wrote four, but I took one down. Um, and three are published, and I'm working on a couple more. Obviously, working on Goliath and working on some other things. But I can see, making a couple dollars off of that is not a big deal. But I think a lot of people are staying home to live off the word of God. I think making money off of people is pretty cool when it comes to secular things or outside the Bible. I think once you start having what you consider biblical channels, but you make money off of them, you're basically a low level or a low rent prosperity gospel almost. You're making money off of that, and I don't think that's right. Um, well, it's not right. It's I'll go to the mat saying it's rather unbiblical. And there are some well-meaning people who do it, but that's because they see other false people do it. So it's like that chain that's created all the way down. It's like, well, this guy does it, and what's your mama say? If your friend jumped off the bridge, would you? And my response was, well, how deep is the water? Yeah. Yeah. So again, so that's why you'll never see this channel, this particular channel I have here, the BAC network. I think people don't realize it's BAC because of born again Christians. I should probably put that in parentheses. Um, but this will stay and remain uh, biblical. You're not going to hear about Trump on my channel, Biden, RFK, FDR, the Trilateral Committee, the ERF, the EFR, the ETFs, the CIA, the FBI. None of those things. I'm going to remain off of that. I know a while back I was putting them on a podcast talking about the Bretton Woods and stuff like that, and I was trying to keep it on the podcast, and then I did overlap them, and it always bothered me. So this channel will stay what it's supposed to be, and that's biblically oriented. It'll only be about Bible and talking to other Christians as we are right now. And I think that's important. The other channel will dive into those other things that will interest Christians as well: gardening, planting, gold and silver, history, economics. Well, we're going to get into those things. A lot of that will be a lot of stuff that not just stuff currently, but a lot of stuff that I've studied over the years and either been involved with, been with people around that in that field. We'll talk about the nonsense of philosophy. I mean, I did hang out in Cambridge up north. If you know anything about Cambridge and hanging out the coffee shops and the blues houses down there, a lot of nutty philosophy down there. But I think that's really important, and I think people should try to either let people know that those things have to be separated. And I think too many Christians are trying to do two different worlds. And they'll say, well, we're talking about the gospel at the same time. Like, you are, but if you watch a lot of these videos, they're self serving videos, and they're, 30% gospel and 70%, uh, uh, political and things like that, and talking about the woke. And there's nothing wrong with talking about those, but if you're going to be a self-anointed, a self-appointed uh, preacher and teacher, then you should stick to those things and stay out of the other areas, because quite often some don't really know what they're teaching, but you go into fields that you don't understand and you try to correlate them, and you shouldn't. There are things you can, but the things you can't. I mean, I'm always fascinated about how many Christian stations or so-called Christian people are still talking about Trump, and I'm even talking about King James Bible believing people out there. I get the evangelicals and all of them are all in and all on board talking about Trump, but even those who want to knock Trump, which is fine, I just don't think it belongs on a biblical channel. I think if you're doing Bibles, stick to Bible. I think I've kind of went on with that for a while. I'm not trying to be down or someone to say, "Oh, no, you're being negative." I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just pointing out the fact that we often make excuses why we overlap things, and I'm just as guilty over the past as anybody else. I'm the first one to admit it. So again, and that's why that other station will come into play. Uh, and someone say, "Oh, it's a worldly station." Well, we're going to talk about world things, but God will still be mentioned, but it won't be a strictly Bible channel or talking about scriptures as this channel is, and when I do things on here. So that might throw you off, and that's me being an outcast. I've often said that, and that's pretty much the name of the podcast that'll happen. Will be called the Wayfaring Outcast. And that's what I've always been. There are people who claim to be that, but they're really not. They still fit in. I've never been one that fits in. I've never been one that fits on that side or that side. I've said for years I don't belong in a church building and I don't belong on the online church buildings because both sides got it messed up. They do, and neither one of them want to admit it. So they keep fighting over it. They both have their points, and and the one thing they do have in common is they just tend to hate each other, and that's pretty sad. Um, I was talking to my son today. There are a lot of channels out there that say they expose people, and some are people in the real world, the secular world, with those people who try to expose them and so forth. And then you have Christians who are trying to expose these false Christians, which those I think are a joke, by the way. If you, as a born again Christian, if you're born again and you can't see the Kenneth Copeland's and era, we got a problem. If you can't see Joel Osteen, if you can't see the Creflo Dollars and all the rest that people like to go after, what? You might want to look at a little lower than that because there's a lot of false ones down here. I don't think it takes a rocket science to point these obvious ones out. I mean, come on now. But I was telling him, I says they don't really expose everyone because they always keep somebody or something or some organization out because they have ties to it, affiliation. And I've seen that over the years. There is a bias because they have some sort of connection to something. There's something that keeps them, they have skin in the game. And that's what has to stop. If you are a true born again Christian, you got to stop with having skin in the game and stop trying to be something. That is the most important thing. Stop trying to be. Just be who you are. Whether you have 10 followers or 10,000 followers, it doesn't really matter. You, as long as you're doing the will of God, that's all that matters at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a YouTube channel at all. I just talk a lot, so YouTube works for me in podcasting. So I talk about those things, but I'm an origins guy, and I'll get into things that that Christians talk about or get into that just I have no idea why they fight these things, and they both don't understand what's going on. I mean, one of the most popular, I think, fights out there is the flat Earth, round Earth thing, um, which is amazing that that's even a conversation and that's an argument. It should not be. I'm baffled by that whole thing. I know the history of both of them. Um, So I've studied that quite extensively, and well, that sounded precocious, but I've gone deep into that along with giants in the Bible. But yeah, it's a lot of crazy things that people don't understand the origins. They understand what something is, but they don't understand where it comes from, and that is what we'll explore down the road. And I think that's important. It's just like when we read the Bible, we read here, but we really don't look into it. We just surface read the Bible without really going into things. We don't. We're like, oh yeah, Gath, and Goliath is from Gath, and people, and then, but we don't know what Gath is. We just read, and we don't understand that whole region. with Gath and Ashkelon and stuff like that, we don't get deeper into it. And I blame uh, preachers on and offline. Never thought I'd have to be the day that I am. I'm 51 years old. I never thought I'd come to the day where I'd have to say on and offline because there are people, because internet's a thing. It's it's an interesting place. I think, and if someone could accuse me of the same thing, but I think internet's a wonderful place for people who couldn't succeed somewhere else to end up. But there are also people who just get to finally have a voice who never had a voice before. So you just have to use discernment on what's going on out there, who you're listening to, and who you're going with. Because there's some slicks, man. They got some people who sound pretty good, until you listen to them long enough and you say, hold on a second, something ain't right. And I don't mean minor things, I mean major things. But, well, I talked a lot about that. I think I did a lot more doing a commercial for the upcoming podcast, which will be coming out on June 3rd. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't know when it's coming out. It's June. That's what we're shooting for. But I think it's important because born again Christians don't actually have a good, solid place to go for that. Some of that information history. I've noticed any of the so-called Christians who are diving into that area are really mainstream, or they're Catholic, or and so they have skin in the game, and that's important. They won't expose their own. For me, I'm thinking I'll go after King James people. I'll go after the Baptists. I'll go after the Catholics. I'll go after the Methodists, the Republicans. And going after is probably not the right terminology. I'm not looking for it to be an aggressive, like go out and try to expose everybody, but truth of things. Giving you the information that exists, and you go from there. People don't understand that. I'll give you a prime example of the flat Earth, round Earth. Many of the founders of the modern era of flat Earth society are of three categories: Catholic, communist, and atheist. Crazy. I'm not even kidding. Utopian society. That's what you're looking at. I mean, I'm just saying it's there. But again, knowing or believing in a flat Earth or round Earth, I don't think your salvation is endangered. No, I don't mean free grace. I'm like, free grace, man, I can do whatever. I don't mean that either. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not going to affect your salvation. The Lord's not going to be up there and going, hold on a second, you believed in a round Earth? Yeah, I'm going to have to send you right back down on this judgment day. Wait, you believed in a flat Earth? All right, down to the pit you go. No, that's ridiculous. And I think there's a lot of fear mongering on both sides, and they get you wrapped into that white noise of that stuff. No, don't get involved with that. Stay strictly in the Bible. You're gonna be just fine. You'll be all right. So that's a snippet of that. And yeah, we'll talk about other things as well. But I love these topics that the scriptures we go through. I usually do a couple of videos on scriptures a week and go through those. Do the best I can to put that in a simplistic form. Sometimes maybe I'm not being simplistic and I get a little too wordy. I should probably save that to the books, but I try to keep things as simple as possible and try not to confuse people too much. And that can happen out there. People just talk around, circular. That's, man, I don't know. I don't know why people do it. I don't know how they get into that situation. And again, I do believe that some of these people start off well-meaning, and then they just get off course. I also think some people just get too big for their britches. And that happens out there. Got to be careful of that. That is, thankfully, I don't have to worry about that because I'm not big enough on YouTube or anywhere else to get too big for my britches. I can tell you that. So now, I think we're closing in on an hour. I think, and I know I got stuff to do, but I like being here. I enjoy every moment, of course. But we've got to use something that everyone talks about, but no one actually uses. I shouldn't say no one, but a lot of people don't use discernment. That's the key right there, is discernment. And that is missing. We look at things, we call it discernment, but we look at it through our own eyes and our own selfish way of thinking. When I say selfish, and I mean how we subconsciously want to see things in our way, and we have to get that out of our system and look at things for what they are, not worry about how things sound from other people, how it's viewed. My favorite thing is the whole pastor persona thing, or preacher persona. A lot of people now do this whole, they dress a certain way, they face a certain way. There's all these gimmicks. I don't mind them as for profile pictures and stuff like that. It fits what your channel is. I had an itch on my leg. I'm sorry. I don't mind that so much, but a lot of people are trying, like I said, to be something or someone. There are some people who believe they're going to be martyrs. And I will say this, and I've said this a long time: martyrs are not martyrs because they wanted to be one. They just are martyrs because they stood for something that was right, not because they wanted to be something. And that is the problem with a lot of Christian YouTubers out there today. They're very much wanting to be something. A lot of these men, if you learn enough about them, you're going to realize there were things in their past they were overlooked. Um, their family didn't consider them that great. They didn't think they were going to end up, superstars. They went to churches that didn't think that they were good enough to be a pastor or associate pastor or whatever it may be, and they overlooked them, didn't feel like they fit the mold. And that's what happens. And they'll tell you, I know I was never, that's never happened. It has. And it's unfortunate. And it happens because there are churches that unfortunately disregard people who have something important to bring to the table. And it happens. But thankfully, I've never had to worry about that because I've never tried to be anything in any church building. I've never cared to be anything in a church building in my lifetime, and that's a problem. I've never been overlooked. I've never been, not picked for the volleyball team or the baseball team. So none of those things affect me. So I'm not. So again, having no skin in the game is hugely important because I think too many people have biases when they go into creating what they call ministries or channels and stuff like that. The only bias they should have is, and that's way over here, I can't reach. See, I've been cleaning up the area, so the Bible's right there now. I moved it over there earlier. The only bias should be the Bible. That's it, the Word of God. That's the only bias you should have. That's the only thing you should be 100% to. Not other things, not the way you dress or the way you try to create an image for people to see. And that's why I tell people a lot of my videos are just a scripture on the screen and not my face all the time, because it shouldn't be about you. It should be about whatever you're talking about, whatever you're putting out there. That's why I miss the old days of radio. I wish I was in the 30s and the 40s when people just listened to the radio. They were listening. They weren't watching and listening, because our watching sometimes doesn't match. A good example of that was the John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon debate. And people who watched the TV, you'll have to look this up. The people who watched the TV felt that John F. Kennedy won that. The people who listened to it on the radio thought Richard Nixon won it. There's a difference. And your visual and what you're seeing sometimes can affect what you're hearing and listening to, because sometimes you don't hear things and you're watching things. You're watching facial gestures, you're watching movement, you're watching you're watching how's he looking at the other person. You're not listening. And that's what I think we're missing sometimes as Christians. We're not listening. We're too busy watching someone. I'm not saying you can never show your face. Don't get mad at me there, but we don't use this enough. We don't. We see something we want to see, and if it fits our visual that we want, we're a visual creature. That's what we are. So we see something, and it affects what we see. I went on a blind date a billion years ago, and what I heard did not match what I saw. She was not a very good looking person, but her voice sounded pretty good. She sounded really good. But again, see, it didn't correlate at all. So that's why I won't put my face up there as often, because that way one can focus. I wish we all could find stations that did that, just focusing on the word of God and what they're saying. I think that's the best presentation of all, is what they say and not what they're doing. Whatever. I'm doing my hand gestures now. Hey, how you doing? I think it's a big deal, and we have to be mindful of just listening. Anyways, you can see that in kids too. All right, we're closing it on an hour. I think a few more minutes. I don't want to keep us here all night on a Friday night. I mean, I'm not going anywhere, but I mean, I know people get up early in the morning. I know I do. Got to get up early in the morning on the old homestead here. My wife loves calling it a homestead. I can't blame her. Feel like we're burgeoning homestead. We're working on all that. So I'm not going to cut down any more trees or bushes until I figure out what they are and not accidentally kill some good food supply that I had no idea. I'm not going to kill any biomass stuff that I need for planting. I'm going to try to avoid that if all possible. All right. Well, I kept it underneath an hour, which is amazing because I'm long-winded and I usually get over an hour. Oh, yes, we do. Yes. Well, yes. Good evening, everyone. To change. I did. You might not have been on the one before. I'll explain why. I was just about to close out, but I'll explain why. If you don't mind listening to me. And I think you're on the East Coast. If I remember, you are in Pennsylvania. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I think you're in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia. Not, Philadelphia somewhere. But anyways, right. Yes. Okay. Wasn't sure. I don't have a great memory, so I'm glad I remembered. Yeah. The reason I changed it from Saturday to Friday is because Friday evenings, I don't do anything other than go to work and then I come home. So it doesn't matter if I have light outside. I'm not worried about it. I don't feel like going out doing a yard work when I get home at night. Don't get me wrong. Sorry. But on Saturdays, I have more time. So what I've noticed with the with the time change, is when I'm getting ready for the podcast, I have more light to work on the homestead out here. So I've decided to move to Friday so we can get more planting done, more yard work on the homestead, more planting, whatever we have to get done. I have more light to do so. That's why I changed from Saturday to Friday. And I'm sorry you weren't there when I talked about that, but yeah, so it'll be on Fridays. Except last week, I did not have. I had it posted, but I got called out on call. Some people need some oxygen tanks and concentrators, so I wasn't able to do the live stream. So I will try to remind people of the weeks that I'm on call, the weekends that I'm on call, and then I'll just not do the live stream. That way, I don't have to end it in the middle of it and take off. But yeah, that's why I. Yeah, no, you're welcome. I'm sorry that you didn't know about it. But like I said, I have more light on Saturday to get things done. That's the day that I get everything done. I know some people that's their Sabbath day, and some people Sunday. And I've done a whole thing on that, not the Sabbath day, but I've talked about Romans 14:5. I've talked about esteeming one day, holy days. I think, but a long time ago, but I'm not going to get into that right now. But yeah, so every Friday, my wife's going to tell me, you're long-winded. Stop over-explaining it. But yeah, so it will be every Friday at 8 o'clock. Now that the summer has hit or the spring has hit and there's more light in the day to work on the homestead, then it gives me more time, and I don't have to hurry up and get ready for the live stream. Also, I don't think it's fair to people, anyone who does watch me. I come in here all frazzled and trying to get a live stream going and talking to folks and hurrying up last second. So I apologize for that. But yeah, no, I'll be here every Friday, 8 o'clock, and just talk about whatever. But I am sorry that you didn't know about that. But although I am glad that I remembered you were from that area up in Philadelphia. Actually, I think I may have talked to you before about Frackville up there. There's a mall up there somewhere in Frackville, Pennsylvania. I always say Pennsylvania. Yeah, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We always get that confused. There's a nice country in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Keep saying it. People forget sometimes that Pennsylvania has some nice areas out there. There's some beautiful land out there. Yes, we okay. So yes, we talked about. Okay, I thought we did. But that was a weird mall. Let me tell you that. I'm probably rehashing, but that's a weird mall. But again, I will leave everybody with this: is just we need to use our ears more than our eyes when we listen to things, and that's why. That's why I miss old time radio. Well, I shouldn't say I miss it because I wasn't around in the 1930s, but I miss the whole idea and the concept of old time radio because we did listen. We were listening and not watching. And like I was saying earlier, with Nixon and Kennedy, I wonder if there was no television, would Nixon have won the presidency? Because everyone who was listening to him on the radio thought he won, and the people who were watching thought Kennedy won. So it's a very interesting approach to it, and it kind of proves the theory in my mind that listening is more important than watching. It's nice to watch, but sometimes hearing, because we're more intent. Look at blind people and deaf people. Like a blind person, what the hearing is much better. Not that we're on the same level, but that's emphasized. So that means it's kind of like us when we are watching something or listening to something. We focus on the listening. But I'm going to go on and on about that, and I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry, sister, that you tuned in now, and we're wrapping things up. But I look forward to seeing you next Friday, if you're able to make it in. But I thank you, and I thank you for your kind words as well. You left a couple of kind comments on a couple of my videos, so I thank you for that. I appreciate that. So with that, brother Jorge, sister, and whoever else is watching now, and whoever's watching down the road, and thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that when you tune in down the road. I know some people watch after the fact. Some people catch it on the next day or a couple days later, and that's totally fine with me. I'm good with it. And maybe next week I'll have that background all set, and I'll get the rest of the floor down, get the rest of the wall up, and that'll be done. So we'll see how that goes. All right. As always, I'm going to awkwardly sign off, and I am, as always, grateful, and I am thankful, and I will continue to say that because I truly am. Anytime anybody takes their time to watch, I appreciate that. So with that, God bless, and if I don't see or talk to you during the week, have a great week. Good night.